Hey everybody, how's it going? So today I want to talk about a topic that really is affecting everybody, whether you want to think it does or not. It is really affecting you. Some it might affect more than others. Like I'm a particular person that is affected pretty highly because of my commute to work. Today, of course, I'm talking about high gas prices and what can we do about it. There's a number of things that you can do to try to maximize the amount of fuel that your vehicle uses. Tip number 1, check your tire pressure. I'm going to try to find pictures for some of this. Most cars on either the driver's side door, it'll either be on the door jamb, or on some cars it's on the fuel door. There's a little placard that tells you what set your tires to. Most of the time it's between 32 and 35. In most cases you can just get away with doing 35. If you try to do it by the sidewall, you'll wear your tires out quicker, you'll have a harsher ride because tires will say max pressure 55 psi, but the car only calls for 35, and at like 35 you have a better contact patch. Now if you ever do mountain bike riding, you'll know that sometimes you'll decrease your air pressure to get a little better traction, and in doing so it makes it harder to pedal. That same type of thing happens with your car. When your tires get flat, it makes it harder to move the tire, and depending on how much you drive, you can end up saving a lot of money over a year just by maintaining your tire pressure. I would say minimum of once a month. I usually try to do mine every 2 weeks or so. Just keep for one, it will help save money on tires because you're not going to wear your tires out quicker, and 2, it'll help save you money on gas. Tip 2, make sure your car is tuned up. Make sure your car is well maintained. A lot of cars, spark plugs are about 100,000 miles. So if your car has over 100,000 miles and you've never done spark plugs, might not hurt to pull one out, take a look at it. I'll put a link in the description below or in the pinned comment that has a chart of what to look for on a spark plug. It's actually at the back of every Haynes manual usually. But making sure your car is tuned up, making sure your car is well maintained. If your check engine light is on, find out why. Because, I mean, if you have an O2 sensor that's not reading right, your car could be dumping fuel into a cylinder trying to, because if your O2 sensor is saying it's running lean, maybe dumping fuel trying to richen up that cylinder or that cylinder bank, and costing you a lot of money on gas. Make sure your air filter is clean. A dirty air filter can really rob fuel economy and horsepower. Just your normal maintenance stuff. Like a normal maintenance, really, if you're doing it yourself, it's not going to cost you a whole lot of money. I mean, yeah, there are cars where, certain Nissans, spark plugs are like $15 a piece. Yeah, it's a bit of money. But in the long run, think about what it can help you save. Tip number 3, don't carry around excess weight. And this is a big one for me because I'm not one to clean out my truck. This one might be talking more to me than anybody else. But the added weight, like if you have like a bunch of trash or just random crap in your car, like say you go shopping and you just, not grocery shopping, but like you leave some heavy stuff in your car because you're like, I'll get to it eventually. That's costing you extra money. I don't have any math to say, X amount of pounds can, do extra amount of gas, but extra weight definitely will kill your fuel economy. Not by a whole lot usually, but every little bit helps. Tip number 4. This kind of goes back to tip number 2. But if you have a car, especially an import like a Hyundai, that's newer than, say, 2010 or so, maybe 2008, it has direct injection, most likely. Verify this before you start doing stuff. But the way a direct injection works, and I'm going to try to put a picture up here, the fuel injector is inside the actual combustion chamber, bypassing the intake valve. Now, a port injected vehicle, or even a throttle body injected vehicle like, say, my S10, your fuel air mixture goes past the valves and can clean them. This does not happen with a port injected vehicle, and you still have your positive crankcase ventilation system, PCV, that is pulling oil vapors out of your valve covers through your throttle body into your engine. What that causes is oil and carbon buildup on the intake valves, and that can cause a lot of issues. It can cause a rough idle. It can cause poor fuel economy because now the air does not have a good clean path. And there is a specific service for that. I know BG makes a kit. Most of your dealerships are going to have a system to do that, where you can clean the, basically they call it they might call it an upper cylinder or an intake system clean. I know Volkswagen was really bad to the point where they would literally pull the cylinder head and sandblast the valves through the intake port. Yeah, it can cause a lot of issues, and for that might be like, say, a $200 service, but again, that might save you a lot of money down the line. And I'm going to give you some tips what not to do. There is no miracle solution that you're going to pour into your gas tank that's going to get you extra miles per gallon. Now, if you have dirty fuel injectors and you run something like a Seafoam or something like that where it'll clean the fuel injectors, that can help a little bit. But there's nothing that you're going to pour in the tank every time you get gas that's going to give you 10 miles per gallon. It's just not going to happen. There's also these things, you'll see them on like eBay, where you plug it in a cigarette lighter and it does something magical to the electrical system that gives you 10 extra horsepower and increases fuel economy. No, that doesn't happen. That's not true. There's also things where you'll buy them on eBay and you'll tie them into like sensors, and it'll trick the sensors into doing other things. All you're going to end up doing is causing check engine light. And then there's also these things. A lot of I've seen them on eBay a lot, but they're like these little things that go around your fuel line. They have magnets, and they claim to align the fuel molecules, and it's going through a fuel injector anyway. Not going to help anything. Yeah, those are things not to do. Now, granted, you could go to a real speed shop and have them do a tune on your car that will give you fuel economy. That can happen. But you're not going to find like a little device that you plug into your OBD2 port and suddenly you got an extra 10 horsepower and 10 miles per gallon more. There are definitely a lot of scams out there. Another thing not to do, if you drive, especially if you drive something like a little Hyundai and it says run 87 octane, run 87 octane. If it's and on the flip side, if it says run 91 or higher, run 91 or higher. If you put the wrong fuel in it, you're not saving yourself any money. If you say have a Mercedes or Lexus and it calls for 91 or higher, the computer is designed to run 91 or higher, and it will affect your power and will also affect your fuel economy if you run 87 in it. Might be different for other countries. Might be, I think Australia and the UK, they run different octane numbers. The way they calculate it's different, but it's the same thing. If your car calls for premium, run premium. If your car runs for mid-grade, run mid-grade. If your car runs for calls for regular, run regular. Messing around with that, the computer is designed to run on what it's designed to run on. And there's definitely other things, like make sure your suspension is in order. Make sure your alignment is good. If your car is out of alignment, your tires can fight each other, causing drag going down the road. You just gotta make sure your car is in tip-top condition would be probably the number one thing to get from this. And most of us are in this together. The people that are causing this problem are not the ones that have to deal with it. They think that people suddenly have money to buy electric cars, but I'm not going to get on my soapbox on that. I'm just going to give you tips to try to get through this as best you can. If you like the content here, go ahead, give me a like, comment, and subscribe, and have a blessed day.